Union types are incredibly powerful. It allows developers to type a value to be one of many different types. Let's have a look and see how we could use them in TypeScript. Let's start with a nice simple inferred value. This is a string which we've just named number of fruit in a basket. It's been assigned a string, which is the word to. Let's say, for example, that we want to change this value later in our code base to a numerical value instead of a string. To start with, as we've covered, TypeScript is going to automatically infer that this value is the type of a string because we've declared it to be a string. However, we want this to be a string or a number. So the first step we're going to take is we are going to explicitly declare the type of our value to be a string. Now, to extend this value to be either a string or a number, we can just use a vertical pipe between the two types that we want to use. So here, our number of fruit in basket is using a union type, which allows our value to either be a string or a number. That's what that vertical line symbolizes. Now that we've set up our union type, we can safely reassign the value to a numerical value. And just for posterity's sake, let's go back to being a string again. This is all valid TypeScript code. It's worth mentioning that union types aren't limited to just 2 different types. Union types can include as many different types as you want. So at the moment, our union type, which is string or a number, is just 2 types, but union types aren't limited to just being 2 types. You can make a union type out of as many types as you want. Let's add another type, which is going to be Boolean, to this union type. To add a Boolean as another type that our value could be, we're going to add another pipe, and we're going to add the type that we want, which is going to be a Boolean. For the time being, we're just going to have string, number, and Boolean, but you can add as many as you like. Now that we've added Boolean to the permitted types that this value is allowed to be set to, we can safely assign this to true, which is a Boolean. Another cool usage for union types is to sort of lock the value type to a series of values, which we're specifying as types. Let's have a look at an example for that. In our example, we have a variable called fruit, which is assigned a string. At the moment, the type will be strictly inferred as a string because that was what was assigned to it on its declaration. Let's assign it a new value. But bacon isn't a fruit. This is still valid code though, because bacon and apple are both strings. So how could we restrict our value fruit to only be a set of specific values? Well, we can use union types. This time, instead of specifying a core type, like a string or a Boolean, we're actually just going to enter the strings that we're happy for this value to be, and they're going to be separated by those pipes. So in this case, we want our fruit to either be an apple, a banana, or a watermelon, not bacon. Okay, that's looking good. We should now be able to safely reassign our value to be one of the types that we specified. So this is all valid code. We're reassigning our fruit to be a banana or a watermelon. And because we specified the type at the top to be apple, banana, or watermelon, this is all valid. However, if we now try to assign our fruit variable to a value that isn't in the set of union types, like bacon, this is now going to be invalid code and TypeScript will not compile. To get our code compiling again, we're going to need to remove the line which it contains the infringing fruit reassignment to bacon and then changing it to a value which the fruit type deems as valid, which is apple, banana, or watermelon. Okay, enough slides. Let's have a look and see how this could be used in a live demonstration. Okay, so in this exercise, we're going to be putting the knowledge that we've now gathered about union types into practice. First of all, as always, I'm going to create myself a new file for this exercise. This time, I'm going to call it union-types.ts. Going to hit save on that. So we're going to be working off of the code that we've written in the basic types file. So I'm going to go ahead and just copy and paste that into our union types file and then hit save. In this exercise, we're only going to be using one of these constants, so we can get rid of isCapital and we can get rid of city name, just leaving city population. And as we've seen before, city population has been declared elsewhere in the project, so we're going to need to rename this constant. So I'm going to go ahead and add union to the start of this constant name, just so that it's slightly different. So let's go union city population and then just hit save. Okay, so in this exercise, we are going to allow our union city population constant to be reassigned to a string or a number. So first and foremost, because we're going to want to reassign this value, we're going to want to turn our constant into a variable. So I'm going to change this const to let, so that it's a variable. And because we want to be able to have this value to be assigned a string or a number, we're going to use union types to allow that to happen. So here I'm just going to write in string, I'm on the pipes, followed by number. As we've now learned with union types, that now means that we have a value which can be reassigned to a string or a number. So let's go ahead and change our union city population to the string, to the string 9 million, not 9 million. I'm now going to open up my terminal in Visual Studio Code by hitting Command and J, and then I'm just going to run yarn tsc-w from the root directory. And as you can see, we don't have any errors in the console, which means that TypeScript is happy with our code and has compiled it for us. So just for the sake of it, let's go ahead and extend our union type to be a Boolean too. So I'm going to go ahead and just add another pipe and write the word Boolean. That now means that union city population can be assigned a string, a number, or a Boolean value. So let's go ahead and assign it a Boolean value, so true. And as you can see, no errors from TypeScript here. This is all valid code. I'm going to go ahead and remove the Boolean because we're not going to be using that for the rest of this exercise, and just keep it as a string or a number. Okay, so as we've covered, our variable, union city population, can now be a string or a number. Let's say, for example, later on in the project, we want to find out what the type of that value is. Is it currently a string or is it currently a number? We're going to write a really simple if-else statement. If the type of our variable is a number, then we're going to add to that number. If it's a string, then we're just going to log that string to the console. Okay, so I'm going to open up an if statement, and inside those parentheses, I'm going to use a TypeScript specific keyword called typeof, followed by the value name, so union city population, and then equals string, and then open and close curly braces. And then I'm going to follow it up with our else statement, so else if type of union city population is numerical, and perform the following, and hit save. Inside these braces here, our union city population variable is inferred as a string. The reason for that is because TypeScript has cleverly used its context to identify what type that value should be. So for example, we're performing this check here if the type of union city population is string, therefore inside of these parentheses only, the value should be a string. And because we performed our check to see if the union city population is a number here, union city population will be inferred as a number inside of these curly brackets. So that means that inside of these brackets, we are safe to add to the value because we know it's a number. So I'm just going to go ahead and add 100 to our union city population. So union city population equals union city population plus 100. And I'm just going to close up these lines here. Cool. So in this exercise, we've used union types to allow a variable to be multiple different types, and then we've performed the necessary checks before operating on the value. I really hope you enjoyed the video, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you in the next one.